Hi children and viewers. In this video I am going to explain one of the most important topic for IPE examinations and other competitive examinations. So very important topic, that's why you have to watch the video carefully. So children, without late I am going to start the topic here. Today we are going to discuss about the Kirchhoff laws. So Kirchhoff's laws, it is also pronounced as somebody Kirchhoff laws. Both are same. Kirchhoff's laws and or Kirchhoff laws, anything, but the matter is same. So here, when we have so many conductors in a circuit, then how we can find out the total current in the circuit? Different conductors in different directions, then how we can calculate the amount of electric current and potential in the circuits. For example, in our daily life you can observe that if there is any electric pole, it is there. From that electric pole, the current is supplied to the so many houses. We have lot of connections to a one electric pole in cities. In villages also some less connections are there. So that's why when we have that number of conductors in a circuit, how we can find out the electric current and electric potential? For that, so Kirchhoff stated two laws. So those are very important. The first law is the amount of current which is entered into the junction or leaving the junction should be same. The amount of current that should be entered into a junction is equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. It is also stated as the algebraic sum of currents at the junction is 0. This is called Kirchhoff first law or Kirchhoff first law. So it is called as generally junction law. Clear? And next thing is Kirchhoff's second law, that is loop law. We can say that generally that is what we call loop law. In a closed loop, the algebraic sum of potential should be 0. That is called second law of Kirchhoff or loop law. Children, what is the first one? The amount of current which is entered into the junction, that should be equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. It is also stated as the algebraic sum of currents at a junction is equals to 0. And second one is Kirchhoff's second law, and that should be stated as the algebraic sum of potentials in a closed circuit is equals to 0. This is called Kirchhoff's second law. So in this video I am going to explain these two laws with few examples. Okay, so first thing here, Kirchhoff first law. Kirchhoff first law, that is also called as what it is, junction rule or junction law. Simply I am writing here junction law. First law is called as junction law. Here generally what is mean by junction? In general, in daily life we can say that chaurasta. Chaurasta means where, at which place where are three or more paths will be joined. At which place two or more paths will be joined, that should be called chaurasta or a junction, like that. In the same manner, at which point the number of conductors should be joined, that should be called a junction. Clear? At that junction, how we can find out the current at the junction? How we can calculate the amount of current at a junction? For that, there are two rules are there. That is called sign convention rules. The first sign convention rule is here: the amount of current that should be entered into the junction, they should be taken as positive. The amount of currents which are leaving the junction, they can be taken as negative. Clear? The amount of currents which are entered into the junction, they can be taken as positive, and the amount of currents which are leaving the junction, they should be taken as negative. So to explain the first Kirchhoff law, you have to remember these sign convention rules. The first thing is the amount of current that should be enter into the junction should be taken as positive, and the amount of current leaving the junction that should be taken as negative. So here children, I am giving one example here. Now we are selected, this is the one junction. Here we are showing that these are the number of conductors, nothing but wires. We have number of wires are there. Okay children, so here I am showing like this. You have to first identify the arrow mark. How we can identify the current is enter into the junction? For example, this point is the junction. Here I am showing like this. Here arrow mark is inward, towards to the point. The arrow mark is towards to the point. That's why here what you have to say, the current is enter into the junction. And I am drawing like this. This is the line here. From that line I am showing like this. The arrow mark is outward. That means when it is outward, that is the leaving the junction. When the arrow mark is inward, enter into the junction. Enter into the junction. So that's why you have to take that. And what I told you, according to sign convention, what you have to say? The amount of current that should be entered, taken as positive. Clear? The amount of current leaving the junction or going out from the junction, that should be taken as negative. You have to remember that children. The amount of current that should be entered into the junction should be taken as positive, and the amount of current leaving the junction should be taken as negative. Okay children, here I am saying now this is the V. V is the junction here. Clear? I am showing that here the current should be like this: I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, I6, I7, I8. Clear children? Now this is the junction. I gave them a name, what is V. Clear? When we have diagram like this, when we have one junction should be like this in any circuit. Now first we have to check which current is enter into the junction and which current is leaving the junction. Clear? So here I1, you have to observe what is I1. I1 is enter into the junction. That's why here I1 is positive. What I told you, the currents which are enter into the junction, they can be taken as positive. That's why here I1 is positive. And children, now here I2 is negative. I2 is negative. So children, to understand, I am writing here simply amount of current enter into the junction. Enter into the junction equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. So here this is the first law actually. Amount of current entered the junction is equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. Simply here amount of current means what? We have to add the amount of currents which are entered into the junction. This is generally known as Kirchhoff first law. Amount of current entered into the junction is equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. Okay children, now we have to look at this diagram, not the diagram. You have to focus at this diagram children. So here what I am telling, I1 is moving into the junction. That's why here I1 is taken as plus. And here amount of current entered the junction, here I1 is entered. Next one is what you have to check, I3 is entered. I1 is entered and I3 also entered, that is positive. And now we have to check again I6, again I7. Clear? So I1 plus I3 plus, children, you have to look at the arrow mark. I1 is inward and I3 is inward and I6 is inward and I7 is inward. I6 and I7. So children, this is the total amount of current enter into the junction. I1 is entered, I3 is entering, and I6 also entering and I7 also entered into the junction. That's why I am writing here amount of current entered into the junction is equals to what it is, that I1 plus I3 plus I6 plus I7. Now we have to observe which currents are leaving the junction. Which currents are leaving the junction. So now here I2 is leaving, I4 leaving, here I5 leaving and I8. So we have to add them again. Amount of current leaving the junction. First one is what? I2. So children, based upon arrow mark we have decided whether it is entered or it is leaving. I2 plus I4 plus I5 plus I8. So here I2, I4, I5, I8. I2 leaving, I4 leaving and I5 leaving and I8 also leaving. That's why here amount of current leaving the junction is, so we have to add them, I2 plus I4 plus I5 plus I8. Okay children, so this is the Kirchhoff first law. Amount of current entered into the junction equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. Clear children? So from that equation, children, I am writing now here, we are bringing I2, I4, I5 and I8 this side. Then how we can write children? I1 plus I3, I1 plus I3 plus I6 plus I7. Now what do you write? Minus I2, minus I4, minus I5 and minus I8 is equals to 0. Clear? I1 plus I3 plus I6 plus I7 minus I2 minus I4 minus I5 minus I8 is equals to 0. Now simply here we are writing now like this, summation of I is equals to 0. Summation of I is equals to 0. From that statement you have to say that the algebraic sum of currents at the junction should be equals to 0. The algebraic sum of currents at the junction is equals to 0. That is simply we are expressing like this, epsilon I is equals to 0. That's why here what I am saying now, Kirchhoff first law should be stated like this. Amount of current entering the junction is equals to amount of current leaving the junction. It is also called as Kirchhoff first law. That is also stated as the algebraic sum of currents at the junction is equals to 0. The algebraic sum of currents at the junction equals to 0. Okay children, see once again, in the example we are having V is the junction. At that junction we have 8 conductors. 8 conductors. And the amount of current passing through the conductor should be taken as I1, I2, I3, I4, I5, I6, I7, I8. So it is clear diagram, it is there. Then children, you have to observe. You have to observe here which current is entered and which current is leaving the junction. Because here we have to apply sign convention rules. Sign convention rules. In that the first one is what? The amount of current which is entered into the junction. The amount of current which can be entered into the junction, that should be taken as positive, and the amount of current which is leaving the junction, that should be taken as negative. That's why based on that here we are decided from the diagram I1 is entered, I3, I6, I7 is are entered into the junction. And I2, I4, I5, I8 are the leaving the junction. That's why the amount of currents which are entered into the junction is taken as I1 plus, I3 plus, I6 plus, I7. From that, what you say, I2 plus, I4 plus, I5 plus, I8. This amount of current is leaving the junction. Which is entered into the junction, that only leaves the junction. Because simply here nothing but it can obey the law of conservation of energy, like that. Application of law of conservation of energy. Clear? So here From that equation we are writing like this: I1 plus I2 plus I3 plus I6 plus I7 minus I2 minus I4 minus I5 minus I8 is equals to 0. From that, by adding the all the currents, we are getting the one value. That value is equals to 0. That's why the algebraic sum of currents at the junction should be equals to 0. This is the complete explanation about the Kirchhoff first law. So you can take any type of junction, we have to apply the same rule and same sign convention rules. Okay children, now I am going to explain about the second Kirchhoff law. So children, to understand the second Kirchhoff law, we have some sign convention rules are there. Sign convention rules are there. First we have to know about that one. Clear? So children, what is the second law? What is the second law? The algebraic sum of potential in a closed circuit. In a closed circuit is taken as 0. This is called second law or loop law. So simply we are writing that is summation of V is equals to 0. The algebraic sum of potential in a closed loop is 0. This is what we call Kirchhoff's second law. The algebraic sum of potential in a closed circuit is or closed loop is equals to the 0. That is what we call Kirchhoff's second law. It is also called as loop law. So children, to apply the Kirchhoff's second law for any closed loop or any closed circuit, there are some rules are there. First thing is, first we have to select the or identify the direction of current. This is the first point you have to remember. We have to select or identify the direction of current. Direction of current. This is the first point you have to remember. And second point, children, we have to select moving path. We have to select moving path in circuit. That is, either it is clockwise, either it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. This is the second point you have to remember. And third point, the potentials, the value of potential, the potential value which can be taken, in the direction of current, are taken as negative. The potential value which can be taken in the direction of current can be taken as is taken as negative. And opposite is that the potential value otherwise it is positive. The potential value which can be taken in the direction of current is taken as negative. Otherwise it is positive. That means what? The potential value what we are taken in the opposite direction of current, that should be taken as positive. The value of potential that should be taken in the direction of the current, that should be taken as negative. If we are taken the value of potential in the opposite direction of current, that is positive. And fourth one, here this is another important point here children. If you are moving from cell, so generally what do you know? Higher potential, this is the cell, big line represents what? Higher potential plus, and this is what? Minus, lower potential. In a circuit, if we can move from higher potential to the lower potential, if you can move from higher potential to the lower potential, then epsilon is equals to negative. Clear? In a circuit, if you are moving from higher potential to the lower potential, epsilon is taken as negative. If you are moving like this, we are moving from low to high, then epsilon is positive. That means in a circuit, if you are moving from higher potential to the lower potential, then EMF is taken as negative. If you are moving from negative lower potential to the higher potential, epsilon is positive. So don't confuse more, very easy. Just you have to remember, after explaining the example, you may get automatically full clarity about the Kirchhoff's second law. Clear? Okay children. First thing here, to explain the Kirchhoff's second law, we have to follow the 4 rules or 4 points you have to remember. The first thing is, in front of you, is there any diagram? In that diagram, is there any closed circuit? First you have to check in that diagram in which direction the current is moving. You have to identify that, first point. And second point, in closed loop, in which path we have to move, that is our choice, either it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. We have to select the second thing. That is what? We have to select the path of moving in the circuit, either it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. That is the second thing. And third thing is the potential value which can be taken in the direction of current. That should be negative. The potential value which can be taken in opposite direction of current, that is positive. That is the third one. And fourth one, while we are moving in the circuit, when we can move from higher potential to the lower potential, then EMF is taken as negative. And if we can move from lower potential to the higher potential, the EMF becomes positive. Okay children, so now I will give one small example for you for that. So with one diagram, children, very important topic, that's why you have to watch the video without any skip. So you must enjoy the topic, enjoy the nature subject. So children, for example, here we are having like this, circuit should be like this. So this is the circuit here. This is R1, R2, R3, R4. One diagram it is there children. In the diagram what you have, 4 resistors are there and one cell is there. Clear? Its EMF value is epsilon. Clear children? So this is the first example I am going to explain. So first point what I told you, first we have to select the or identify the direction of current moving. For example, here I am saying now this is the A and this point is B and this is the C and it is now D. Clear? We have like this A, B, C, D. So first we have to check the direction of current. So already told you what is that, the current is always moving in the conventional current direction, that is moving from higher potential to the lower potential. So here the big line is higher potential and this is the lower potential. That's why we have to identify the current is moving from higher potential to the lower potential. So that is the current I. Clear? The current is moving like this. So that is the first point. So already we are identified the direction of current S. And second thing, what it is, children? We have to select path of moving, either it is clockwise or anti-clockwise. So children, now I am going to start at this point B. That's our choice. We have to select one particular point. I am selecting this point point B. So I am going to start like this: B, C, D, A, B. Where we are started, again we must be reach that point. We are started from B, C, D, A, B. So that's why here we are selected loop, that is what? B, C, D, A, B. So B, C, D, A, B. That means, children, what I told you, B, C, D, A, B. Tell me now, we are moving in clockwise or anti-clockwise? Say now. Yes, we are moving in clockwise direction, because where we started? B, B to C, and D, A, B. So second point is also over. What's that? We have to select the path of moving. So already we have selected the path of moving is B, C, D, A, B. Clear? And third point, children, the potential that should be taken in the direction of current, that should be negative. Clear? So in this circuit, the amount of current is I. Amount of current is I. Clear? So generally what we know, V is equals to IR. This is the expression for potential. V is equals to IR. Current into resistance. Current into resistance. So when we are started at this point, here the current is what? I. Current is what? I. Then the potential across the R3, what we write? What I told you now, V is equals to IR. Now we want to find out the potential between these 2 points of a resistor. Already current is I is there and resistance is R3 is there. That means what we write? The potential is IR3. IR3. Children, current I is there, resistance R3 is there. That's why potential is what? Current into resistance, I into R3. I into R3. That's why here IR3. Clear? Now the question is, IR3 is either it is positive or negative? Positive or negative? Yes, it is negative. Why? Because we are moving in the direction of the current. The current is moving in the clockwise and we are also moving in the clockwise. That's why here the potential is negative. Minus IR3. Clear? Minus IR3. Again, children, similarly, here the current is I, resistance is R4. Then the potential is what? Minus IR4. Clear? Again, came here and we reached this cell. Told you now what it is that we are moving from low to high. We are moving from lower potential to the higher potential. When we are moving from lower potential to the higher potential, what do you have to say? EMF value is positive. What's that? Positive. Clear? We are moving from here to here, positive. And again, here the current is what? I. Resistance is what? R1. That's why here, what do you write? Again, IR1. I into R1. Again, we are in the direction of current. That's why minus IR1. Next, here, again we are moving in the direction of current. Here current is I, resistance is R2. Then what do you write? IR2. What do you have to write? IR2. Minus IR2. So, after that we reach this point. Here, what you have to say, children? Yes. The algebraic sum of potential should be here 0. So what I told you rules, according to those rules we written as minus IR3 minus IR4 plus epsilon minus IR1 minus IR2 is equals to 0. From that children, I am writing now here epsilon is equals to, we are bringing the all the negative terms on that side. So here I want to write here simply IR3 minus IR1. So here I am writing here children, epsilon is equals to, we are bringing the all the negative terms on that side. That means what, right? IR1 plus IR2 plus IR3 plus and IR4. So IR3, IR4, IR1 and IR2 we are taking that side, then becomes as positive. In that children, what is common? I is common. Then what did children? I is equals to R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4. So from that what, right? Epsilon is equals to what, right children? I is equals to what, right children? I is equals to epsilon by R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus and R4. So this is now expression for current. I is equals to epsilon by R1 plus R2 plus R3 plus R4 children. So you can take like this clockwise. If we can go anti-clockwise, now all these are becomes positive. IR3 positive, IR4 positive, IR1 positive, IR2 is also positive, and epsilon becomes negative. So in this way children, we have to apply the second Kirchhoff law. Clear? So simple. See once again, here one example is given. What's that? Here there is one closed loop, it is there. In that closed loop we have 4 resistors of resistance values R1, R2, R3, R4 and EMF value is epsilon. So here you have to know about all the rules, and here in this loop there is no word of potential. So what I told you, the potential which are in the direction of the current, they can be taken as negative, and the potential values which are in the opposite direction of current, they can be taken as positive. But here there is no symbol of potential. Generally what it is, V is the symbol for potential, but in that circuit there is no V symbol. Then how we can find? According to Ohm's law, V is equals to IR, V is equals to IR. According to that, here I is there, R is there, I is there, R is there. Yes, that's why. So children, first we have to identify the direction of current. So we are identified the current is moving from higher from potential to the lower potential. And next thing is what? We have to select the path of moving. We have to select the path of moving. So this is the path of moving. Clear? So we are taking the direction of current and this will be in clockwise. When we are moving in the direction of the current, all potentials are negative. That's why here IR1 is negative, IR2 negative, IR3 negative, IR4 also negative. That's why I am taking like that. And here at the cell we are moving from lower potential to the higher potential. Lower potential to the higher potential. Then what you have to say children, when we are moving from lower to high, the value of potential is positive. So that's why here epsilon is, we are taken positive. So this is the children about the Kirchhoff's second law example. So if you want to get the more clarity, I will give one example. Already the diagram is on the board. Just look at the board now. Here we have another diagram is there. Okay, now look at the diagram children. Here in this case we have 2 cells. Clear? 2 cells are there. First cell EMF is epsilon 1 and second cell EMF is epsilon 2. Clear children? So here now I am taking this A and this point is B and this point is C and this point is D. A, B, C, D. And now I am taking this is the E and this is the F. Now in this entire circuit you have two loops. So here watch carefully, epsilon 1 that can produces the current I1. This is the direction of current moving I1. Clear? And from the second cell the current is how much coming? I2. Yes, this is the current I2. Children, you have to observe at the point D, you have to observe at the point D what you have? I1 is coming, that means I1 is entered and I2 also entered. Here from the first cell I1 is current is coming. Clear children? Next thing here from second cell I2 is coming. At this point what you have? Junction is there, I1 is entered, I2 also entered, and at this point this current is leaving from the junction, So what is its value? According to first law, what is right? Amount of current that should be entered equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. Amount of current entered into the junction is what? I1 plus I2. And amount of current leaving also same thing, I1 plus I2. Yes. So that's why here you have to observe in the diagram the current passes through the R3 is I1 plus I2. And children, now look at the point C here. Now C is the junction. Here C is junction. At the junction what you observe? I1 plus I2 is entered. And I1 is leaving, I2 is leaving. So like that. So from R3 I1 plus I2 is going. You have to observe. So why we are saying I1 plus I2 means the reason behind that at the junction D, at the junction C we have to apply the Kirchhoff first law. Okay children. Now in that example, I am going to write here for the loop. Again, I am going the loop in clockwise. Clear? That means we are going to start at the point B. At the point A we are started. So that's why here what is the loop? A, B, C, D. So that's why here for the loop A, B, C, D, first point already we know that. What is that? We have to identify the direction of current. This is the direction of current we are selected. And next thing is we have to select the path of moving. That's why we are selected this is the path of moving, that is clockwise. Okay children. Now here we are coming from A to B, that means we are moving in the opposite direction of current. So and now we reach the cell. At the cell we are moving from high to low, higher potential to the lower potential. Then EMF what we take? S minus. We will take minus epsilon 1. And here the current is what it is children? I1. Resistance is what? R1. Then potential is what children? I1 R1. Here the question is I1 R1 is positive or negative? That's the question here. I1 R1 is the potential. Yes, it is right. So now we are moving in opposite direction. We are moving in opposite direction of current. That's why the potential value should be taken as positive. So that's why here plus minus epsilon 1 plus I1 R1. Again like this, here we are across coming like this. Here I1 is there, R2 is there. That's what we write here again, plus I1 R2 plus I1 R2 children. Again we are like this, coming like this. C to D we are coming. That's why here again we are coming in the opposite direction of current. That's why here the potential is here. But what is the current children here? I1 plus I2. That's why here I am writing I1 plus I2 into R3. So now we reaches the point A is 0. So in this way we have to write the expression for total potential. In our examination point of view, they will give some values for I value, R value and epsilon value will be given. Then we have to find out the either it is R1, R2, R3 or I. So like this. So I applied the Kirchhoff's second law to the first loop A, B, C, D like this. We are selected the loop A, B, C, D, it is the closed loop and we are moving from A and it is in clockwise direction, and that means here we are moving in the opposite direction of current. That's why here the potentials what we are taking, they are the positive. And we are moving from high to low, that's why EMF is negative. Now if you want to find out the second loop also, now we have to select for the loop here. Now we will take anti-clockwise like this, just for change. It is what? Clockwise. Now I am started from the point D. D, E, F, C, D. We started D, E, F, C. D, E, F, C, S. So for the loop D, E, F, C. That means what? It is F, C, D. That is means what? We are coming in anti-clockwise. So it is clockwise. And now it is anti-clockwise. I told you the path of moving is our choice. So even though we are selected any path, but the rules do not change. You have to apply the same rules. Clear? Okay children. Here now D, E, F, C, D we are taken. Now we are moving in opposite direction. We are coming from D, and here what is the direction of current? S. Again we are moving in opposite direction of current. Clear? The current is coming from higher to the lower. Okay, and here started from this point here and we came here up to here. Now again same thing, higher potential to the negative potential, higher to the lower. That's why I write EMF is negative minus epsilon 2. And now here R4 is there, I2 is there. Now potential is what? I2 R4. Potential is what? I2 R4. Again the question is what? I2 R4 is positive or negative? Yes, you have to check the direction of current. We are moving in this direction, the current is coming opposite direction. That's why the potential is positive. So it is positive. Again here we came like this. Same thing. Now the current is moving in this direction, we are coming like this. Then what will children? Again plus I1 plus I2 into R3. That is equals to 0. Clear? So in this way we will write out the algebraic sum of potentials. By solving above equations we will find out the epsilon 1, I2, I1 values we will find from these two equations. But in our examination point of view, in competitive exams they will give some values. So I gave some general explanation for that. So once you can understand this one, you can do any calculation or anything. So children, so this is about the Kirchhoff's second law and Kirchhoff's first law examples. Okay children, say once again here, what is Kirchhoff's first law? The algebraic sum of the currents at a junction is should be equals to 0, or it is also said as the amount of current which is entering the junction equals to the amount of current leaving the junction. That is what we call Kirchhoff's first law. So it is generally known as junction law or junction rule. And next thing is what? Kirchhoff's second law. What's that? The algebraic sum of potential in a closed loop is called equal to 0. The algebraic sum of potentials in a closed loop is equals to 0. It is called Kirchhoff's second law and is also known as junction law. So to apply the junction law we have 4 rules. I clearly explained there. So if you do not understand, again you can repeat the video slowly, you can watch the video slowly, you can easily understand that. So I hope you understand, children. If you can understand this one, like, share, comment the video. We will meet in the next video with some other interesting topic. Bye, take care.